JDs and gentlemen, this is my official 2025 AFL ladder prediction just before the season is about to start. We've seen a few preseason games. Let's get right into this. Let's not keep you waiting. 18th, I hate to say it, I do have the Richmond Football Club. I just think Richmond, look, they're already having injuries to some of their star talent, Sam Layler's jaw and stuff, a few other injuries, Ralph Smith, Dion Prestia, and look, at the end of the day, we've lost most of our talent. We've got a super young squad. There's no pressure on us. And sometimes I think maybe we won't finish last because there's like absolutely no pressure, like genuinely none. But I think Adam Muse is probably looking for, I reckon he'll get 2 wins this season. I think Richmond are in dead last. In second last, I've got the Victorian, not rival, but I guess counterpart in some sense, the Melbourne Football Club. Look, Melbourne, unfortunately for you, look, your season could go either way. It could go really well. Petrarca could come back really well. Oliver could hit the form. Gawn could, stay injury-free. But the reality is, Neil Bullen's gone. Petrarca, we just don't know how he's going to return. Oliver's on fraud watch. Gawn's getting older and more injury-prone because that's how age works. And I just think with the problems with the coach and the culture, I think that all combined leads them to likely a second last place finish. So sorry, Melbourne fans, I have you stinking it up in 2025. Third last, I've got West Coast. They have made really good signings, but watching them in preseason, but I think mostly just some of the lack of talent still not quite there. Losing Tom Barras, I think it might be a better season for them than 2024 in terms of wins. I still think they'll struggle a little bit and come in third last. Now in fourth last, I've got the Essendon Football Club. The reason I had them maybe a bit higher than some people do, like some people have them bottom 3, I think there's still a lot of talent there. There's still Brad Scott. Look, that's the end of the day. West Coast have a new coach, Mini. Richmond have a relatively new coach, Adam Muse. Brad Scott's been coaching, he coached North Melbourne for nearly a decade. He had success there, didn't win anything, but I just think the coach in itself is a big reason why I have Essendon above those teams like Richmond, Melbourne, and West Coast. Looking at the end of the day, I think that bottom 4 could generally be in either order, but I'm sticking with that as my bottom 4. Going into 5th last now, 14th place, I believe, I've got the North Melbourne Football Club. Look, North Melbourne could finish a lot higher, but for me, I just think they'll struggle a little bit to continue progressing. They could genuinely finish in dead last. And I think the reason is, last year they still had more talent than Richmond, better players, but yet they still finished with a lower percentage. Does Clarko still have the ability? Does he still have the minerals to do it? I'm not entirely sure. Like watching North Melbourne in preseason has, left some things to be desired, but there's still a few more preseason games to go, so who knows? They could go and come up against Sydney and dominate them, but for the time being, it's not looking amazing. On to my next place now. In 13th, I have got the Western Bulldogs. I have them dropping out of the 8 and sliding a little bit down the ladder, losing some key players. I think Beveridge, does he have the same grasp on the players as a coach anymore? I'm not so sure. Bont's a year older. I feel like the talent they've lost over the last few years, Dunkley, Smith, those types of players, is going to come back to bite them eventually. And unfortunately, I have them finishing quite far down the ladder. Look, 13th still means you're kind of fighting for the 8. They might even be there in parts throughout the season, but I don't think they're going to do all that well. 12th now, and these are the teams that I think generally you could argue have had an okay season, but for some reason or another, they've not made the finals. I've got Adelaide in 12th, and I've toyed around with them being in the 8, but at the end of the day, I'm still not overly convinced with the forward line of the Adelaide Crows. I think the midfield's looking really promising. You've got Isaac Rankin coming through the ranks really well. Dawson's also still quite young, super impressive. But the other ends of the field, forward line, the defense, I'm not entirely convinced. And maybe they I can't speak English. Maybe they overperformed in 2023. Maybe they underperformed in 2024. I've sort of combined that to an average of 12. 11th place now, I've got Port Adelaide. Look, both Adelaide clubs, I have neither making the 8. Port Adelaide, I think, with the forward line they have, is just going to struggle. At the end of the day, you got to score points to win games. And unfortunately, even though their midfield's amazing and they have a pretty rock-solid defense, I think that forward line is really going to struggle with the injuries they've had thus far. And unfortunately, those injuries are a big reason why I have my 10th place also in 10th. Now this is going to cause a bit of fire, a bit of feud, but I've got the big Carlton Football Club in 10th place. I'm sorry, but the injuries you're already having, and look, to be honest, I made this original prediction before they had all the injuries. Nick Newman's out for the season. Kerno's a question mark for early rounds. Sam Walsh is already having hamstring problems. You've got the likes of Jagger Smith out for the season. You've got the likes of Mark Pitnet already injured. And then my big reason behind this was I just don't think Paddy Cripps will stay fit the whole season. And I just think they're way too over-reliant on him. And I'm not entirely... This is Carlton for me. Carlton, they have arguably three of the best players in their positions on the field. Wiedering, Curnow, Cripps. But apart from that, I feel like their team's really unconvincing. And I think they're very overrated. And I think overperforming in 2023 has led a lot of people to think they're a top 4 team. I don't see it. I think Carlton are actually not a great team. I'm sorry, but I said it. 9th place now, I've got Gold Coast. Look, Gold Coast, I think, are the team that they're going to progress more, and they're just going to miss out on finals because of a lack of experience, perhaps. And I just think with the list there, not as talented as other lists. Dimmer, maybe another year you'll get into the 8. But Gold Coast, I could easily see get into the 8. I could also see Port Adelaide, and Carlton getting into the 8. But unfortunately, I got them just missing out. They could finish on the same amount of points as my 8th place, but not quite there. In 8th, I've got the Giants slipping down a little bit. Now, this is slightly controversial. Not many people have the Giants this far down, but I do. And there's a few reasons why. First, I sort of thought, well, they had 2 really demoralizing finals losses in 2024 where they dropped major leads. I just feel like that's slightly mentally scarring. And the other thing is just the players they've lost. They lost quite a few key players, you could say, in the off season. Nick Haynes, you've got some going to Collingwood, some going to the Adelaide Crows. Even though they're not any of them were like key players, I don't know. I love the Giants, and I think the higher ups are amazing, and putting them in 8th is a little bit disrespectful, but I had to put someone there and I've gone with the Giants. Now, in 7th place, I have gone with St Kilda. I feel like I'm one of the few people who have them in the 8, but the latter end of 2024, they performed really well. I think their system's improving under Ross Lyon. Yes, they don't have any star players. Yes, I don't think they had an amazing off-season. They're picking up Jack McRae is going to help them with experience. I think injuries, if they can keep Max King a little bit fit here and there, they should be okay. I rate their defense. Everyone knows Ross Lyon defensively is an amazing coach. So there's a lot of pros for St Kilda, and I just backed them in a little bit more than some of the other clubs. 6th place now, I've got the Sydney Swans. I have them dropping. Look, the history of clubs getting dominated in the grand final and the year after dropping outside the 8 is so rich that sometimes it's hard to ignore that. Sometimes I thought, well, maybe I do have to put Sydney out the 8, but the reality is the talent is still there. I reckon they're just still going to be hungry. They haven't really lost anyone, I don't think. Maybe 1 or 2 players, but no one of importance. This is their season to win it because Chad Warner's going to go to Fremantle or West Coast, pretty much guaranteed, in 2026, unless he remarkably changes his decision. But we've seen that happen before. Sydney, I just don't think I see them outside the 8, but I don't think they're going to have the season of a top 4 team. And I think there are 4 teams better. Now in 5th place, I've got another grand finalist slipping down the ladder. I got Brisbane in 5th. Yes, they got Ashcroft in the draft, but they've lost Joe Danaher. And who do they have to replace Joe Danaher as the number 1 forward? I'm not seeing a number 1 key forward who Brisbane have on their list right now who can kick at least 40, 50 goals. I don't see a single name there. Hipwood you can't rely on. They might have players like Payne they can move forward. I don't see it. I honestly don't see it. And they do have some young talent in the forward line coming through, but unfortunately for the now, there's not a Joe Danaher who's reliable, who's going to kick you goals. And maybe a slight bit of a grand final hangover. They might come into the season a bit slow, and I had them just slipping out the 8. But they finished 5th in 2024 and they won the flag, so Brisbane fans, you can't be too annoyed at that prediction. Now, the top 4 is quite interesting. Now, there's 4 names I'll give you right now: Fremantle, Geelong, Collingwood and Hawthorn, in no particular order. I have gone with my 4th place. I've gone with Fremantle. Now, there's a few reasons why I've gone with them. Generally, their players are quite injury prone. Yes, they've picked up Shea Bolton and some really key players, so I think they'll shoot up the ladder. Defensively, still a really good team. Make sure this is on the edit. Defensively, they're a great team, and I think now they've got the attacking stocks to finish top 4. They could well win the flag in 2025. I just think that maybe lack of experience here and there might let them down. 3rd place, I've got Hawthorn. I think they might not finish top 2, sorry. So I've gone them in 3rd place. Look, I'm a huge fan of Sam Mitchell and what he's doing with the Hawthorn Football Club. Young talent, great culture. People want to go there. And I think what they're building is scary because they've picked up Tom Barrass, one of the best key defenders in the game. They're going to keep picking up these free agents because if you've got any club to go in Victoria, it's Hawthorn right now. It's so exciting, great culture to be a part of. Why would you not want to go there? And look, As long as they keep some of their key players fit, I think they're going to be fine to make top 4. And I've got them in 3rd, which means my top 2 is between the 2 big Victorian clubs. In 2nd place, I've got Collingwood. And the reason I have Collingwood is they've just, like, Houston, Dan Houston is all you need, right? They've got an all-Australian defender now. They've got who they need. I mean, when they won the flag, I feel like they're just missing something in defence. And they were in 2024. Picking up Houston, Cummins, and Cummins went to Adelaide. Perrin, that's who went. They've picked up some good players. They haven't lost too many. And I'm really bullish on them. They can just get the injuries right because last season they got fucked with injuries. They're fine, okay? Collingwood are fine. They're going to make finals, and I think they're going to do really well. Now, in 1st place, I've traditionally disrespected this club like no other. I've gone with Geelong in 1st place. I just think the higher-ups are so stable, a bit like the Giants. They've got great experience still there, and I think that blends really well with the young talent. They've picked up Bailey Smith. I think they needed a bit of midfield revitalisation. Max Holmes, Graham Myers are just going to get better, and I just think they're so exciting. They've got some great young talent coming through in the forward line. Neil O'Neill, Shannon, I think the guy. I might be wrong on that, but he looks really promising. Jeremy Cameron's still there. The defence is still amazing. Tom Stewart, he can say less injury prone. They're just a good team. What am I meant to say, right? What are you meant to do? Geelong are in 1st, and that's who I'm going for. So, thanks for watching. They're my 2025 ladder predictions. If you disagree, I'm sorry. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video.